So one thing I want to say about these spiral bound books is there's this space here, and when I'm holding it up to show you it, you almost get the sense of you can see my spine in the back, or my trachea, or my sternum, this becomes part of me, and that's a cool thing. I love that when my students are sharing their work, and this is sitting here right in front. I want you to notice how this page has this page has this, and in a sense they don't meet. So the nice thing about it is that we have this, and then a little breathing space, and then we have this other side. And sometimes our work is so intense, we really need that breathing space. Other times you'll find that you have to paint slowly and carefully between every single one of these spirals. And it's a Zen process, and you totally slow down, and it makes you crazy, but you got to do it. But you don't do it on all of them. So yeah, you'll get paint here. And the spiral does become a graphic or unifying element between the two pages, and something that just kind of helps carry our eye over. Putting the two, linking the two pages, so that as you're having to turn your pages to get to the blank page that you're going to work on that next day, you're already developing a series, so that when you get to that page, the psyche knows what she wants to tell you about. There's accordion books, books with black pages, short books, small books. I use old calendars. I just love the size. This is a beautiful sketchbook from Rag & Bone. Jason Thompson sent this to me. I love it. I love the color. It's red. Cover, it's red. It's beautiful. Another one of those books that's just sort of too nice for me. But also, I used to only work in blank sketchbooks, and I don't really do that anymore. This was the book that I was using, or going to use, for my grimoire when I taught my Woman's Book of Shadows workshop, which I might make that an online workshop too. And it's one of these photo books. These are beautiful old books. And some of my students used these, and they were incredible, and they rebound them with velvet and things. There's all kind of things that you can do to deal with the issues of the spine or things breaking. This was a book that I made. I never really finished it. It was kind of weird, but I made it out of book covers and cardboard and things, and then bound it with leather straps. And then I was just going to sew pages in between each one. But I get bored really easy. I'm not really a bookmaker, and so this is as far as that got. That was a good idea. This was another book that I made for a workshop, and I just used wire and little coffin-shaped pages. Doesn't really turn. But this was a cool book. Giant books. Pouches for books. A friend of mine made me this. Isn't this funny? Nothing says birthday better than a 12-pack o' beer. And she made this and then put my present inside, which looks like maybe it was a book. Okay, so nothing's garbage. We can use everything. This was an old scrapbook from the 40s. You can sort of see the leather here. It's really beautiful. And I didn't want, it was one of those books, oh, I don't want to use it, it's so beautiful, I'll just mess it up. And I definitely feel like it's that stuff. But I love this book now, especially when I was done and I put this stuff on the cover. I rarely decorate my covers. That's just not really something I do. And each book is just about a different era or a different phase in my life, and so when I look back through it, I know exactly where I was at. Each book is going to be a record, and so it'll tell you what it is. This book, I worked in it. I hated this binding. Something that's sewn close, this far in, it won't stay open. You can see how it is here. The cover's heavy now because it's covered with glass, but it was like a battle. I had to keep doing like this to hold it open. But once I was done with this book, I realized what a battle it really was. That time period in my life was very difficult. A friend of mine gave me this book, and she's a very talented painter. And I thought, well, I'm going to make really beautiful paintings in this book, and I'm going to be inspired by my friend who's such a good painter, and I'm going to be a great artist. And what I ended up doing mostly was just covering over each page with crappy magazine pictures. I didn't really do much with these pages. They were, they were very substantial, and I don't know, I didn't really know what to do with them. And so most of the work in here I felt was not very successful for me artistically, but in terms of what I came up, in terms of my process, this book is very important. And so finally, when I was done and knew what it was all about, I covered it in glass and this little shell that looked like teeth, and I called it In Transition. And it's a really important record of my life, and there's so much information and wisdom in here, so I can always go back and reference this. So one of the things that I do like about hardbound books is I like working all the way across. To me, that just feels right. And it's important for you to figure out what feels right for you. And that may be something different every single time. You may go from spiral to hardbound to handmade books. You may not be stuck in any one way of working or one style or element. And I think that's important to discover, and the only way you're going to figure that out is by working. So it's time for you to go out and find your book, and you can find your book possibly in your house, maybe at your grandmother's or your mother's. You can try library sales. Those are a great resource for fantastic books at relatively inexpensive prices, because you're thinking of a book that you're going to work back into, a book you're going to want to tear pages out of. So and it can be hard to do that, so you want to be not too attached. You can get your books at art stores, Hobby Lobby, and I think that's going to be that's the most exciting thing of doing the work is the research and getting started and collecting. So go out there and start looking for your book. Start looking for materials as well. We'll talk about that some other time later, but it's nice to see you today.